Right, welcome back to Adventure 82. I'm stood here rather untidily with my camera in my hand. Right, so when you saw us last, we were on the grass just over there at the site of the former Gazette station. So we're continuing our way down the line today, and we start off here in a kind of little inconspicuous side piece of pavement that goes nowhere, just a fence. But it's the wall to the side of me here that's interesting, because on the other side of this wall you would have had your train track that would have come through here, would have gone down, and just behind us there's a little tiny road called Sarnia Road, and you can see at the end of that road there's a garage with a very faded red door, and that's where your truck used to go, and that's where we're about to go now. So let's carry on following this train track. Right, so as we work our way down what's now Sarnia Road, you can see the garage here, which I pointed out to you before with the faded red door. So the train would have come from up there, down that little side of that house there where we started, would have worked its way all the way down here, gone through here, and then it would have continued on. Just go through these hedges and show you. Along through that garage there, and along here, through the garage there at the back with the little white doors, through the bushes and through the end of an estate that's now called Manor Close. I want to continue on through there. So what we'll do is we'll go on beyond the bushes there, and then we'll catch up there. Right, just to give you some idea of bearings, we have Pertwee Lane to our right, we have the inner road, or the Clements Inner Road to your left, and obviously you have new flats now. Back in the day, your railway would have been going through this block of flats, so it would have gone from here to here, which it would have gone roughly through here on a slight curve, would have gone across what's now a mixture of back gardens and fields, and emerged at our end destination, which is Samares Station. But there's some other interesting stuff about the land around Samares Station and how that came to be where it is. And it's also got some links to Samares Manor. So let's work our way down to the station, and then I shall fill you in on some more of the story. This way. Right, so we're now on St Clement's Inner Road. Not a particularly interesting road to be filming, but it's the closest we can get to following the track bed these days that the railway used to take. So with that in mind, and quite appropriately in the right location, because on this side of me here, through there, most people will know is that Samares Manor. It's a visitor attraction these days, where you can go and visit it. It's called the Botanical Gardens of Samares Manor. But back when the railway was built, it wasn't. It was a manor in the traditional sense. We had an owner who owned farms and fields. And the fields that he owned specifically were all on this side, which are now, you can see, housing. If I do a slight angle for you there, this is all housing now. But back in the day, this was all fields. Now I know there's some houses here that have been long standing, like the quite cute little cottage here behind me. but as a general rule, there weren't many. So you can imagine all these fields, like I say, being owned by the owner of Samares Manor. Now, back when the railway was being built in the 1870s, the owner was a gentleman called Mr. Morrell. Now, Mr. Morrell was a big believer in railways. He'd visited the UK and he liked railways. So he believed that Jersey having a railway was a real step forward for the island, which would have been just over here behind us, roughly where that fence is, curving its way along, because it was on a slight curve. So it approached the station on a straight line. So he owned the land, all these fields over here, including the section of field where the track was going to go across, and the land where they built the station. And because he was such a big believer in the railways, he gave this land free of charge to the Jersey Eastern Railway to build on. And in return for doing this, the Jersey Eastern Railway would always, every time he had like a fete or a public do on to allow people to visit the manor, they would run special trains, especially to drop people off and pick people up from these events he held at the manor. So it was very much a like-for-like relationship, and that's how Samares Station came to be. But a long time before that, and before that all these fields were here, or that were here, and I'll show you the extent of it when we get round into Samares Lane, which is how you get to the station building now. The fields didn't exist, and the reason for that is very simple. The reason it didn't exist is because in the early 1600s, or up until then, early 1700s, as far as I can find out, because the fields were low-lying land, they used to flood with seawater, and there used to be an archery that carried seawater inland through this archery that existed back then, and used to flood this massive area of lowland, and used to fill it entirely up with seawater, like a salty marsh. Which is also why the area known as Samares, where the estate is called Samares, because it was a salty marsh. Right, so on my way down here, I was talking to you about fields and flooding and salt, and there was houses in the way, and you couldn't really understand what the hell I was talking about. But all this land, you can see in the distance there, you can see that block of flats. That's roughly where the coast is. So all this land used to fill with salt water, it used to flood, and it used to get trapped. And then you'd have to wait for the water to dry out. So back in the boom of the salt industry, the gentleman had an idea, who owned the Samares Manor at the time, of waiting until it flooded and then blocking off the archery and filling it in. And that's exactly what he did. And then all this dried out because the water evaporated, and he harvested the salt and he sold the salt on to other people for various things, cooking. It's used in bleach, and it has other chemical properties as well. It's used for predominantly cleaning products back then. And so that's what this was originally. It then obviously ran out of salt, and then it became the fields and the pasture fields that you see now. But that's not why we're here. We're here for the station, and the station's next door. So let's go have a look at that. So we've reached our final destination, and this one's unusual because even with the JER and the JR&T that we've done so far, there's never really been any proper intact stations. So we're quite fortunate today. We're at Samares station. Doesn't look anything special, does it? Because that's not the station. That is. And it's one of only 2 station buildings that still exist. But this one's still in its original form. The other one's been heavily modified. So you can see what I mean here as we look across underneath this hedge. The granite all the way along, that's the original platform. You see what I mean about how, like the Jersey way of doing a platform, it just kind of abruptly ends, there's no slope. And it goes all the way along, so it's quite a lengthy platform. I think this may have even been shortened slightly. The building still got the original wooden windows. And in case anybody asks, I've actually been knocking on the door. I've asked the lady permission. She said it's fine to film the front. And if you come up here, Erica's doing a really good job keeping up with me here. You can see how stunning the building is, and you can imagine how many people would have stood up here waiting for a train. Isn't that just a lovely piece of architecture that's left for Jersey? The clue is in the name, because those 2 houses there are called station cottages. We still have the original granite retaining wall that kept everybody from walking on the line behind us as well. So we'll have a look at that, but this is just, it's an amazing building. So this, I'm guessing, would have been the main entrance into getting your tickets back in the day, but obviously not now. And then of course you can see, even now, the tree line is still here from the train track. In fact, I wonder if we go behind the vans, if we can see anything, if it's still clear. I'll have a look at that for you in a minute. But it really is a stunning find. So this station, one of the originals. I'm lost for words. It doesn't happen often, but I'm lost for words. Samares station was the main station. You can imagine all those people I mentioned to you when I was talking before, getting off here, walking up the little section of lane there and off to Samares Manor, going to these fetes and stuff. It would have been such a hive of activity at times, I'd imagine. Probably got quite a few people to go to the beach at Green Island as well. It would have been a busy little station in its day. And you can still see there's remnants of the train track hanging around, because you've got sleepers all around, making up flower beds here, there and everywhere. But it's a stunning, stunning find. I'm very pleased we found it, and I'm very pleased that we've been able to document it. What I will do now, however, is I'll let you guys just have a look around at the actual building's architecture, and I'll get out of the way. Right, so this is your original, so you can see a retaining wall I mentioned to you before while you were looking at the station building. And it's been there for about 200 years. Okay, I've still run this way, so I don't know if there was like maybe a storage area here or something at some point. We've got that there. And your train used to come from through here, which you can see is now, looks like it's somebody's garden and quite overgrown, but that's where your train would have come in from. Would have come in, gone all the way through, past Erica, and out the other side there, where you can see that black gate in the distance. I can't believe there's still a station building left. Looks like there used to be an entrance door here as well, so I don't know what that was for. That's interesting, that's been sealed up. But that's an awesome building. And it's pretty much definite, you can see here that this platform went on longer. not sure how much longer. I'll have a look when I get back. And I found a new book on the Eastern Railway by Oakwood Press that looks like they did too. The other one's slightly more helpful to you guys, so I'll put in a picture for you, if I haven't already, about the layout of Samares station, so you can see exactly how the track was laid, etc. For those who are interested in the layout. But from here, it would have gone through there, and it would have gone straight through those hedges, and it would have come out on Ponderson Lane. And that's what we're going to follow in the next one. Right, so as I said, it would have gone on through here, but we'll follow that in the next one. And until then, I will see you next week, hopefully. But before I go, I would just like to say, is that not the coolest signpost you've seen for a house in some time? That's been there a while. Isn't that some cool architecture there too? Right, anyway, from me, Erica, who's hiding behind the camera like she always is, and the 20 million cars who for some reason seem to be passing me even though I'm on a lane. I'll see you guys later. Cut.